Great. I would like to call to order this meeting, regular Board of Education meeting and public hearing for renewal of e-learning program agenda on this Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. If we could have a roll call, please.
At 6:02 p.m.
Nice. Look at us go.
Yes, Dr. Michael Thomas,
Present.
Lauren Dowden,
Present.
David Shepherd,
Present.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Present.
Denise Jones, yes, Michael Allmiller,
Present.
Colleen Klimzak.
Present.
All board members are present.
Excellent. All right, if we could stand please for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. A quick glance to approve the agenda. If I could have a first motion after we've had a moment.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
And a second?
Second.
Excellent. The Michaels have spoken. And a roll call, please.
Yes, Michael Allmiller.
Yay.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Yay.
Lauren Dowden,
Yay.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes, Colleen Klimzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Awesome. I will pass the baton.
Perfect. So our first report is from our D12 Foundation. I'm going to offer our opportunity for Sam to speak on behalf of the foundation. And of course, we have a lot going on with our bash next week.
It's that time of year.
It
Good
certainly
evening.
is. Thank you.
So we're gonna start with a back to school bash, the flyer up there on the screen. It's coming up next week, first day of school, Thursday, the 22nd. We'll be at Central Middle School, 5:30 to 7. And we are very excited that Astound Broadband is gonna be our main event sponsor. And we have other local businesses who always show up and help us out with this. So they've given us the opportunity to keep the foam pit, Dr. Woodland's favorite. We have games and activities for the kids, food, tacos and pizza that you can purchase. So you have dinner on your first night of school. You don't have to think about that. We're really happy and excited about some fun new things. And we'll get tickets up on RevCheck in the next few days so people can order those tickets for raffles and food and activities, and hopefully give them extra time to have fun with their kids.
It's supposed to be a nice night. We looked at the weather a week ahead.
And talk about it because
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jim, if I jinxed us. Sorry.
no, we can't jinx it. Right now, it's perfect.
Yes, yes.
Hopefully, it stays that way. We do have a rain date, but we're not talking about it because it's gonna be fine. We also are running our football sweepstakes. A $20 donation gets a card with a randomly set of selected NFL teams each week, 18 weeks of the NFL season. We're gonna get that information up on the website in the next week or two. But if anyone's interested, all of the information is on our Facebook page right now. Teacher wish lists, we did this last year and the teachers absolutely loved it. We're really excited to be able to do this again. So we're gonna randomly select 5 teachers from each of the 5 buildings and fulfill up to $250 of their wish list. It's really excited to feel like Santa Claus again. It's really fun.
Granting wishes, how cool is that?
Coming up in September, we're doing our Kindness Day t-shirts again, to honor Alan Landor, and he would have been a senior this year, which is crazy to think, and we have invited his classmates to have a little competition and design the t-shirt for us. And then we're gonna open up the sales to his classmates up at the high school as a way to honor his senior year, what would have been his senior year, unfortunately. And we are also going to keep up with our food drive, monthly food drives in each of the 5 buildings this year, and a competition for that trophy, and ice cream party. And keeping with competition, we're doing with Culver's, each of the 5 buildings will have a share night every Wednesday in the month of October. You'll be able to go to Culver's and support your school and have a little fun with it. The winner of whichever school raises the most from that will also get an ice cream party, because we like competition, we like ice cream parties. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Oh, we're so
That's a lot.
excited.
We like cupcakes and ice cream parties.
Ice cream pairs nicely with cupcakes.
There you go.
So,
Well, at least we're consistent.
yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
So my next report is regarding our strategic goals for our 24-25 school year. The focus of this presentation will be surrounding our academic performance goals, our student support services department, and as well as our goals around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm going to save our communication goals for September to review those more in detail. So our strategic plan alignment, in order for us to continue to focus on our 5 goal areas, it's important for us to understand where we were. As a district, we had a committee of nearly 55 individuals to determine what the 5 goal areas are. They are culture, communication, curriculum and instruction, diversity, equity and inclusion, and student support services. So what have we accomplished thus far? So District 124 prioritized Tier 1 curriculum needs based specifically on stakeholder feedback, and we implemented a high-quality Tier 1 instructional framework. The focus of this was on academics, social and emotional learning, and behavior of our students. We implemented a K-8 ELA curriculum. We've implemented a K-8 math curriculum. We have implemented a 6-8 science curriculum that we are actually piloting this year, and a 6-8 social studies curriculum. It is then our goal to look at common assessments, and our common assessments to which we have currently developed have started in the area of mathematics in our K-8 continuum. Vertical alignment was something that our parent population really emphasized. So for example, when I started here along with Dr. Carlson, there was inconsistencies in implementation and what that looked like and sounded like, particularly in our K2 and 3-5 bands. So it was important for us to see what that continuum of curriculum really looked like for students so that we could understand the importance of that vertical articulation and allow for teachers to continue to have that alignment as well. As a district, we've also taken a deep dive into our PBIS and community-based resources to establish a systemic approach to Tier 1 behavior. We've had deep level conversations around the needs of our students in terms of their mental health and well-being. The district implemented a response to student behavior manual, a bullying prevention and response procedures, and our newly adopted SEL curriculum at Central Middle School. So what is next to come? So as a district, we will continue to work on our high-quality instructional framework with a focus on our diverse learners and specifically differentiation. And within that, our high-quality tier 1 framework has particular components that really emphasize these particular categories, and we're going to be providing training to our teachers around those concepts. We're going to implement a common assessment platform to assist in Tier 1 data collection and analysis, and that's specifically in grades 3-8. And our goal behind that is to ensure that we're providing access to grade level content and that our teachers understand the development of where students are, again, on a progression. We're going to continue to address the overall academic achievement of our student population tied to these particular goals. And what's critical to this is we've spent a lot of our time focusing on Tier 1. However, we're going to start to branch into that Tier 2 category, focusing on particular interventions that are aligned to our core curriculum resources. We are also going to continue to review our PBIS and community-based resources. If you recall, we have a district community leadership team, so that team will continue to meet quarterly. And we have an intensive focus on refining our disciplinary practices to address particularly the disproportionality of our non-majority students. That is a particular goal area of our strategic plan and something that directly needs focus and something that we intend to keep solid data on. I have to applaud our Central Middle School administration for really supporting and putting this together, and then our elementary principals who have reviewed that process to ensure that we have a solid start to this school year. So what does this look like in practice, and how do we intend to support our teachers? So one of my, Dan, if you could go to the next slide, one of my all-time favorite topics to still talk about with every individual that I work with is professional learning goals. And it's ultimately because at the end of the day, we need to be able to support our teachers and also differentiate for their professional learning needs. So there is a list that I'm gonna go through that I cannot take credit for, and it's because my team has really put that together, and that's Dr. Carlson, Patricia Roberts, Rebecca Terrell, our principal team with feedback, and that's really to ensure that we're providing the intensive support to teachers that they have requested and or based on where we are in this trajectory of our strategic plan. And it's critical for you to know that there was a lot of detail in our professional learning calendar that was, again, very intentional in nature. So we intend to provide training on the use of our common assessment platform. That platform is called Otis. We are going to increase access to our grade level standards through scaffolded instruction. And Math for All is a pilot group that we'll implement at Northwest and Southeast. We're going to continue ongoing teacher collaboration through the use of math and ELA committee work. So our teachers had the opportunity, as they've always said, to have cross-building committee articulation. And so ultimately, Dr. Carlson leads out this work. They meet throughout the course of the year and they talk about what's going well within their curriculum. They review common assessments, they review data to really have streamlined collaboration to increase district-wide consistency. So that's always the goal, is that we have district-wide consistency. And we intend to implement a refined data collection process to assist in Tier 1 data review. You'll learn a little bit more about this tonight, specifically to our K-1 students in an M-class adoption, which will essentially take the place of STAR. Our diversity, equity, inclusion, and student support services has quite a bit of overlap because they feed into both departments. So we intend to pilot our progressive disciplinary matrix at the administrative level, and that's to assist us in consistent implementation district-wide, which will also be aligned to our student handbook. We plan to continue to expand our partnerships around our mental health and well-being with our students. We continue our district focus on our inclusionary practices, specifically restorative practices, de-escalation, and trauma-informed. We will be piloting our SEL curriculum that is at Southwest and Northeast, and we'll be implementing our SEL curriculum at CMS. So ultimately now that next tier of saying we've adopted our curriculums for our core contents, and how do we now have alignment for our SEL curriculums. And we will continue to provide ongoing training to our gen ed and special ed teachers on the use of Differentiate to support students in accessing grade level standards. So a snapshot of what this looks like by grade level, and I won't speak to each of it, but we were very, again, intentional by grade band of the tailored professional development needs for our pre-K through second grade teachers, our 3 through 5 teachers, and then our K through 5, what they'll be implementing. Essentially an intervention that's aligned to CKLA. And then this also speaks to CMS. CMS, Dr. Mueller has worked exceptionally hard on putting together very streamlined professional learning specific for CMS to ensure that we're meeting the needs of each department. And then our last slide is a preview of our Institute Day and all the moving pieces. So we will have our building-based day on Monday. On Tuesday, we have K2 specific training to meet the needs of our diverse learners. 3-5 will have our Math for All training, which is tailored instruction using Eureka to support differentiation. And then our K5 will receive training on capturing kids' hearts, which is our SEL curriculum. And then Wednesday, we kick off with our great theme of our district gathering at Central Middle School. Are there any questions regarding our updates for our strategic plan? I give you a lot of information, but this is what I spent 2 days on with our administrative team. Which leads me into our next topic of our administrative retreat. So we have a theme this year of to be a coffee bean, hence your little treat that's on your table. And if anyone has ever heard of Damon West, he is someone who has wrote both a kid's book and an adult book about being a coffee bean. And the concept behind this is that if people believe they have the power to transform their lives and environment around them, even when things are difficult. This message is based on the idea that when coffee beans are placed in hot water, they change the water and release their flavor and fragrance. Simply, people can choose to respond to adversity in a way they transform them rather than giving up and becoming hardened. So our theme for the year is Let's Make Positive Change Together. And so we will be excited to welcome Damon West on our Opening Institute Day next Wednesday. We're super excited.
And there's coffee.
And there's coffee. And we will have a whole coffee bar, right, Donya? I can't wait.
Clever, very clever, I love it.
Yes. And then our last update that I have for today, is on registration and enrollment, because we still need to welcome all of our students, right? So our registration and enrollment numbers, Elizabeth Lopez has not left the building since August 1st, but she is working diligently to ensure that all of our students are enrolled for the first day of student attendance. So our new student completed registration is 128 new students. And then we currently have returning student registration at 1,387 students. And then our total number is currently at 1,515. We consistently are watching for class size to ensure that we are on target, and at this time we are on target to ensure the needs of all students. And yes, class size is always one of those things, especially at kindergarten, that you cannot predict, but I think we actually got it right this year. So I'm excited to see that we'll have the proper support in each of our kindergarten sections and numbers across the district. And we continue to look forward to welcoming any new students who are looking to register in between now and the beginning of the school year, because we start next week.
Can't wait. Ready for the first day.
Yes.
You're
Any
saying
questions on
sometimes we
registration?
realize
You
it's
should have
coming.
gotten your postcard this time,
Yeah.
right? You got your postcard. I know we're postcard happy, but it works. It seems to work, so.
Yes. Love support.
All right. Thank you so much. Next I have Eric, who's gonna share information on money.
Hello. Yay, money. We like money. Thank you.
Yes,
My
of
gosh,
course.
that was a lot of content. I'm excited. Okay. Hello.
Statement of expenditures, we spent so far $1.4 million. Out of that, majority salary, our property casualty insurance, and then the capital projects for the HVAC building, HVAC at Northeast. Outside of that, nothing unique really to this year so far. Revenues, a little unique compared to last year. You might notice that we have collected $5.2 million in revenue already, and at this point last year, we only had $941,000. We got the levy, the tax payments are starting to come in more on time, so we did happen to receive a lot of revenue from that. We received some CPRT revenue and then also Medicaid revenue with evidence-based funding. And as a result, our fund balance went up a couple $1 million, but I expect that to get back to where it currently was in June, just because expenditures would keep going up, but the revenues, we received a big chunk already. I believe like 17% of our revenues budgeted for the year.
Wow.
And now I have the presentation of the tentative budget. Some major,
Tone of voice.
I know. Now,
He's ready.
now we are talking budget. We all heard, and we appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
so some major factors this year to the budget. Revenue-wise, the property tax relief grant 2-year abatement window is officially over. We're gonna continue to look to see if there's any opportunity for us to qualify for the property tax relief grant. The funding, the formula doesn't necessarily benefit the elementary districts where it benefits the high school districts more because there's a multiplier. So, when that comes out, I'll follow up on that, hopefully we can qualify.
Of course.
The district is to start receiving the TIF revenues annually as a result of the intergovernmental agreement with the village. We should be seeing that relatively soon. It wasn't really positive if it was gonna be the end of last fiscal year or the beginning of this fiscal year, so. And then the last one is the American Rescue Plan grant opportunities are officially over with as of September. So that is like the ESSER grants, community partnership, those things, as a result of the pandemic. That all is gone. So there's been a lot of reporting to do just to close out that chapter. Expense-wise, the average percentage salary increase of approximately 4%. Health insurance premiums will increase at approximately 8%. Out-of-district tuition expenses are projected to increase by roughly $500,000 this year due to an expected rise in student costs along with increased tuition costs. And then the last one is capital projects budgeted for a total of $1.5 million this year. Budgeted revenues, I budgeted 26.695 in real estate taxes, 1.8 million in other local, 5.1 in evidence-based funding, roughly $1 million in other state grants, and then 1.6 in federal grants, for a total of $36.42 million, which would be a $1.98 billion increase from last year. Unaudited numbers. Expenditure-wise, I budgeted $19 million in salaries, 5.3 in employee benefits, 4.2 in purchase services, 1.89 million in supplies and materials, 1.9 million in capital outlay, 1.4 in debt payments, 2.2 in tuition and other, and 224,000 in non-capital equipment. You'll notice, the benefits and salaries, that's a big increase from unaudited fiscal year 24 to budgeted fiscal year 25. And then the other one is tuition and other objects, the increase in out-of-district tuition.
But for the line item itself, 815 isn't that drastic of a change when we're looking at
Right.
almost 20 million. So
Right.
like that's also the change being, less than 10%, less than on some of the other ones too. It might look like a big number, but that's actually, like I said,
Yeah.
not too unreasonable.
It's really not too different, it's just out of all the changes, that's one of the larger ones, yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Education fund budget, so I budgeted local sources at $22.3 million, state sources at 5.7 million, or 5.8, federal sources at 1.7 million, for total revenues at $29,765,000 out of the ed fund. And then expense-wise, $18 million in salaries, 4.2 in benefits, 2.5 in purchase services, 1.3 million in supplies and materials, $25,000 in capital outlay, $2.2 million in tuition and other, and 220,000 in non-capital to get a surplus of 1.25 million in the ed fund budgeted for this year. And then you'll see a breakdown of the sources of revenue on the graphs on the right.
I really like a bar graph, but I'm liking the pie.
Good.
It gives it's such a good visual, right, of the whole 100% and what part of it, when we need to explain things to our community and people who stop us at the grocery, we were talking about last week,
Yeah.
right? So, this is really, really helpful, so thank you so much.
Of course. Operations and maintenance fund budget. Local sources of $2.3 million for total revenues of $2.304 million. And expenses, salaries at $996,000, benefits at $246,000, purchase services $377,000, supplies and materials $563,000, capital outlay at $265,000, $2,000 for tuition and other, and $4,000 for non-cap, for a total budgeted deficit of $149,000. Here's a breakdown of the budget by fund. And please note, this is a tentative budget. There are some revenue sources that are still coming out that I expect to have a more accurate idea between now and the next board meeting. So I do expect these numbers to change slightly. So in the ed fund, I budgeted $29,765,000 in revenue, $28,515,000 in expenses. Operations and maintenance, $2,304,000 in revenue, $2,453,000 in expenses. Bond and interest or debt service, $1,506,000 in revenue, $1,406,000 in expenses. Transportation, $1,468,000 in revenue, $342,000 in expenses. IMRF Social Security Fund, $1,030,000 in revenue and $892,000 in expenses. Capital projects, $90,000 in revenue and $1.5 million in expenses. Working cash, $233,000 in revenue. Tort, $1,000 in revenue and $251,000 in expenses. And life safety, $23,000 in revenue and $200,000 in expenses, to get a total ending balance budgeted of $17,989,518, which would be a surplus of roughly $77,000.
Pretty tight.
A lot of numbers.
But I'm still seeing surplus, so hey. Yeah.
And then this last slide is the historical and budgeted fund balances in all funds for the district from 2016 to 2024. The black line on the top is the 6-month reserve, which is board policy. And then the gray line in the bottom is the 3-month reserve, which is the state minimum policy. And the 6 months of fund balance reserves is the highest, will get you the highest audit score in the profile score of a 4.0.
And look at how the last 3 years we're above both those lines.
You might not have heard my heavy sigh and then my look at Jenna, but yes, like I've been around, I'm old, I've been around for the other years. And that is just phenomenal. Healthy, it is healthy, and that's what it's meant to be, so thank you.
Eric, what year did you start? Is it 21? 22.
22.
Okay.
Okay. No, this is really, it's awesome, it's really great.
I do think it's also important to recognize the board's commitment and the union's commitment.
Oh.
Because the union was very, very intentional with us and working together in partnership during our last negotiations. And I just wanna say that I greatly appreciate their efforts and their willingness to work with us. And ultimately, the board also made a commitment at that time to say that we knew that we were going to ask the community for a 5% levy because we had the opportunity to do so, which is so essential in a school district to never leave money on the table. And so I just wanna say I appreciate the board members who were part of that process and our union because it is a collaborative approach. And Eric made it all happen, so
It was a team effort.
It was a team, I love it,
thank you so much.
thanks, Erin.
Does anyone have any questions on that presentation? And then we had a FOIA request from a Miss Rebecca Marie Falzoni, and that request has been completed. Thank you.
That was a lot,
Yeah.
really
Hello,
appreciate it though.
everybody.
Hello,
Hi, Katrina.
I am excited today.
see you back, good to see you.
So I'm gonna report on hiring update, and if you recall in September, I talked about some of the initiatives we were going to use to fill our 24-25 positions. And then I think in May, I talked about all the resources we use to slowly do that. For example, like our Golden Apple partnership, our virtual and in-person job fairs, student-teacher pipelines that our principals accepted a lot of student teachers for. All of those type of platforms, social media, the boost that we did on the social media sites, all of those things we talked about last time. And so now I get to voila, some results. I wanna say before I hit this is that I hope you all know that the main reason we were able to accomplish filling a 100% fill rate for the school year 24-25 for certified positions, including our hard-to-fill positions like science and math, especially at Central Middle School. It was teamwork. I mean, from our principals to our admin staff, from Rebecca to Ashley, to our DEI coordinator, Amanda, Megan Locke, who just supported all the in-person job fairs, and Evelyn Guerrera, my team, Lisa Gallick and Tracy, our payroll manager, like everyone did their part to make sure we filled all those positions this year. So I just wanna make sure you know that. But anyway, we had a total open 41 positions at the time of me determining what positions we filled. Of those positions, 26 of them were teachers. And of the 26 positions, 7 of them were like our main hard to fill positions, like the math and the science positions. So just a real kudos to all of our teams for working together on this. You could see that, of course, Central, being the largest, filled the most positions throughout that time. I want to talk a little bit about our diversity hires. We're moving the needle. I hope, next board meeting to talk a little bit more specifically about some of the more specific initiatives we're taking to try to move this even further. As you can see, we filled 4 teacher positions with minority staff, several of those being at Northwest School. And you'll see that some of our other positions that we filled with minority candidates are dean, social worker position, paraprofessional, and our lunch recess position. So now that I'm looking very closely at our baseline of where we stand with our minority percentage. So we're at a baseline of 20% based on the number of employees we have today. We have 315 employees, 64 of them are minority, and 48 of them are male. And you can also see that we're even trying to do a better job of increasing our male employees. You can see that we have 5 new teachers that are male. That's really awesome. And 5 other male candidates in other positions too. But they say an average thing to look for is 60% beyond whatever your rate of minority percentage is. So my goal is to really increase this every year by 20% until we reach that goal. And so hope to talk to you next time about how we're going to do that with some of the initiatives that are very specific to this. I do want to speak to one thing though. Most often people think when we talk about diversity hires that it means that we just pull in people based on their race or color. And I just want to stress that we have never taken that stance here at Evergreen Park School District 124. Every candidate we consider and our principals hire, they are considering those people based on their skill, their knowledge, and their ability to do the job. So I want to make sure, and we will always do that. So that's our challenge. We're up for it. I'm up for it. And as you can see, I'm backed up. So that's it. Any questions so far?
100%. 100%.
Ooh.
100%.
This is the first year that I've been here that we have been 100% filled to start the school year, and I absolutely agree with Patricia. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
But Patricia did not give herself credit, and she deserves a ton of credit in that regard too. So thank you so much.
Did you have a comment?
No, I like those
Oh, you were
numbers.
affirming, I got you,
No.
right? Oh,
And we
okay.
welcomed those new staff today, I'll just say, it was a great day, we had new teacher orientation, so they were all here and their mentors, and we went on the bus tour, and it was a great day, so I'm really excited about what's to come. I think that we have a good staff that's coming aboard with us, so it's exciting. So we're gonna give you the end of the year STAR growth and achievement update. Generally we've done this in June, but we're kicking off the year with it. So our principals will share their fall and spring benchmark data. They're sharing grades 2 2 to 5, and then 6 to 8. As Dr. Woodland mentioned, we are making a shift this year to M-Class, which aligns to our CKLA. So that will be the benchmark assessment that we will use in grades K to 1. We have had a number of years where it gets really messy. Students coming into kindergarten start with STAR Early Literacy, and then they transition into STAR Reading. And that data we were just finding is not correlating well between those two tests, which was making the results kind of messy. In addition, that assessment was not giving us the information that we needed. When we are looking at foundational skills in reading, which is we wanted kids to be learning to read, a lot of the data that we were getting from that early literacy assessment, we were finding that we were having to do additional assessments on kids to get what we needed. So this aligns with the program that we have. It will also then provide us with specific reports that will say this is what this student is needing. Here are some interventions that you can provide that are aligned with the reading program that we have. So we're really excited to kick that off this fall. Teachers will be trained on that next week, so we're looking forward to that. So I will give it up to the principals who will be sharing that information. So I think we're starting with Jenna. We mixed it up a little bit this year, so Jenna start.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys. So I'm gonna share a little bit about our reading and math data, and then I'll shift into our action plan for both academics and then culture. So you can see our fall benchmark and our spring benchmark here. I really wanna highlight the growth from 7th grade reading. The SGP is at 61, which is great. That says that although it dipped a little in terms of achievement percentage, that the students grew. So I'm really excited about that. And same with math, we see still slight drops in achievement, but we see pretty decent growth, and I do wanna highlight 7th grade as well, they're at the 51 SGP. And I do recognize that we do have a lot of work to do, and although the scores are low, we are seeing growth, which is good, and we do intend to hopefully be on an upward increase. And that kind of brings me into our action plan, or first my goals, which would be helpful to share my goals first and then my action plan. So these goals were actually co-created with our school improvement team, and so by the end of the 24-25 school year, we will improve the percentage of students that meet and exceed in reading and math on our STAR assessment by 5 to 8% from fall 2024 to spring of 2025. And then we also have a growth goal, so by the end of the 24-25 school year, the average SGP will be 50 or above for all grades in math and reading on the STAR assessment from fall 24 to spring 2025. And then how we're going to get there, got a lot to do, but we're ready for it. So again, the continued focus on just the high quality tier 1 instruction with that emphasis on lesson planning and structure, and what Dr. Woodland talked about aligned with our strategic plan 2, differentiation, and really making sure we're being responsive to the kids in our room. And then we are also piloting Math for All, which I'm really excited about because I do feel it's a really strong framework to help our teachers be able to like take Eureka and take the students in their room and differentiate and intentionally plan for those students. We are going to increase intervention options and ensure the effectiveness of the interventions for our students who need additional support. Right now, we have math and ELA like lunch group options, but we want to expand that and also like assess the effectiveness of the kids who go and utilize those options if it's working. We want to have a continued emphasis on job-embedded professional learning through team and department time, and that's based on like observations that the deans see, Lavin sees, I see, the coaches see, and then providing that job-embedded feedback or job-embedded professional learning at the team level. We found that was really successful with 7th grade last year. So like if they needed help with classroom management, we would push into their team time. So it was in a smaller scale, and then it was easier to then check on, okay, are they actually implementing then what we talked about. We are going to analyze common assessments as a department to reflect on what students do and do not know. So Dr. Carlson is going to implement Otis for us, which I'm really excited about, which will really help because last year we did have, it was challenging to analyze common assessments when we have like 120, without some sort of place to house it, when we have 120 math assessments to look at. It was pretty tedious to like enter those all manually into a spreadsheet. So I'm really looking forward to that because it will give us immediate feedback on like, okay, so majority of the students have mastered this, but we have a small percentage of students who haven't. Well, I'm gonna pull that small group in the back, which is kind of an inconsistent practice currently. We're gonna continue to have analyze STAR at the team level, and then we're gonna be consistent this year with analyzing STAR at the department level. So the coaches are gonna lead that work with math and ELA to actually analyze at the department level. So they're looking at individual students and their scores. We're gonna continue to support our new teachers through professional learning, mentoring. Matt and Julie, the instructional coaches, have created a lot of supports for new teachers this year, which I'm really excited about. One being, last year we got some feedback from our mentors that it is kind of hard to be like everything to the new teachers because they have questions like not only on curriculum and instruction and like how to teach, but also like how to use the printer and all of these other like logistical things. And so we did get feedback when we did our listening and learning tours that it was just a lot for the mentors. So Matt and Julie, they're always up for a task, and so they created this comprehensive new teacher like training slideshow, and it goes through like how to enter grades, how to enter a referral, how to use the printer, and it's how to use Hall Pass, like everything you could possibly need to know is there, and then teachers can actually reference that all year. So I'm really excited about that. I'm hoping that it will lessen the load for our mentors. And then we are going to build student ownership and buy-in with our STAR assessments through goal setting and incentives. So we'll have individual and grade level incentives, which I'm also excited about. And then we will support the science and social studies curriculum adoption and implementation this year. So that's a lot, but I'm excited for that. And then for culture, we're going to continue with our implementation of that intentional explicit SEL curriculum and advisory. And then we also have a lead-worthy 6th grade course for 6th graders. So that will be one of their 4 specials, and that is a more intensive SEL course that will, so they'll get both essentially. And the thinking behind that is then the 6th graders can have a more intensive work on their SEL competencies, and then that will carry with them through 7th and 8th grade. So I'm excited about that.
I thought were you all still gonna do something in advisory in regards to SEL? Where
Yeah.
everyone will be able to kind of dive into,
Yes, so we're doing Capturing Kids' Hearts in advisory, and we'll have intentional lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So everyone will get that 6, 7, and 8. This is a more intensive class that'll serve as one of the 4 specials the 6th graders get. So they'll still get STEM, art, music, and now they'll get this more intensive SEL course, which I'm really excited about. It essentially replaced their speech class. And then we did set a structure for each day in advisory. So we'll have the Tuesday, Thursday for them to do the intentional SEL lesson. On Mondays, we're gonna do a Cool Tool reboot. So we'll review expectations every Monday. Wednesday, which I'm really excited about, we're adding in like a Power School grade check-in where the students will then email their parents home. So we're still working on how we'll do the
Brilliant.
fidelity of that to make sure all the kids do it, but I really think that will, 1, get them to check their grades, and then 2, help with the parent communication. So that's something we're adding this year. And then Fridays will be goal setting for the following week. So our PBIS team last year created a lot of like goal setting sheets, like really small ones where kids would create goals and then they could pick like an incentive for them. So we're gonna try to do that school-wide as well on Fridays. So I'm excited for that. It'll help with a lot of the executive functioning things that we're seeing, so. We're also, sorry, Colleen, did you have a question? No?
No, the wheels are turning like crazy, it's all good.
We are gonna provide parent education on the importance of student attendance, design monthly tier 1 attendance incentive programming, and then develop more effective systems to address chronic absenteeism. And then we will modify criteria for students who need a tiered intervention, clarify like who and how this data will be polled, and really focus on progress monitoring the effectiveness of the intervention. So currently we have a few outlined like tier 2 interventions, check in, check out, and 2x15. And we're really gonna focus on this year, making sure that we have data on all of the students. So if they're on check-in, check-out, making sure we get those sheets back so we can track, are they meeting their 80% goal? And if they're not, like reassessing at that six-week mark on, do they need to then shift into tier 3 or are we switching to intervention? So that was, I really feel a missed opportunity that I think will really help us. And then in the spring, Lavin and I did listening and learning tours with all the teams, and we got really good feedback on that. And actually, the teachers said that they would like it in the winter and the spring. So I'm gonna continue to conduct the listening and learning meetings with teachers in the winter and spring. And then I did add, I'm gonna do like during 2 late starts, like drop-in principal office hours. So if staff want to just share something, they can. Hopefully they would at any point, but more of a structured kind of time. And then I did create like a specific principal goal based on like the 5 essentials, like principal, teacher, trust. So I'm gonna send out like a quarterly survey just to monitor like my own progress on my goal. And that's gonna be based off of the 5 essentials.
I like that, self-accountability.
Yes. No, it's
And then the
great.
admin, we created a goal as well, but it was important for me to create a goal as well. And then also like share progress on my goal to my staff so they know that like I'm also learning and growing and want to succeed here. And then I'm also gonna do a principal student impact group this year to increase student voice. So any students who are interested, they can apply, and then this core group, which there'll be 1 at each grade level, so 6th, 7th, and 8th, and we'll meet during lunch. We'll meet monthly and we'll just discuss important issues. They can provide feedback, help plan maybe incentive assemblies or some fun events, and really just promote positive change. So that was a lot, but I'm excited.
Can we get a little feedback, like as it go along, like
Yeah.
what the students are vocalizing?
Yeah. Yeah, and actually I'm gonna put that, not this week, but next week, I'm gonna put the form and more information on it in Central Connection so families know that it's an option too. And then on the first day of school, we're doing like a little admin presentation, and at the end, I'm gonna talk to all the students about it if they wanna join. But yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
And I can always ask Jenna for updates and share with the board directly if there's something specific you would like to know about.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Woodland, I have a question for you.
Good.
Are we,
Can I just invite Dr. Mueller back up?
this is a you question.
Yeah.
Dr. Jenna.
Are our mentors receiving a stipend?
They do receive a stipend. I was actually just looking at the contract today. It's $500 a semester or annually? Who can answer, Eric or Ashley?
I didn't hear the question. Can you-
The mentors.
Mentors.
Mentors, yes, mentors get stipends.
Annually.
It's annually a $500
Annually.
stipend. Look at
Annual
that.
stipends.
Question answered. But knowing that they're not spending their time on how to use the printer
Oh.
is brilliant, right? Like brilliant. Hello, also brilliant.
I think Michael still has another follow-up question, so I'm gonna ask
Well,
to
it's
ensure.
a personal statement, it's not really a question,
Okay,
but we can talk about it later.
okay, perfect. I just wanna make sure I got his question answered. Thank you.
Good evening, Haley from Mayor Principal at Southeast. I wanna start by saying at the end of last year, I had a staff meeting, and I really had the opportunity to thank our staff for really an incredible year from start to finish. I actually teared up in the staff meeting because I was so proud of really the work that Southeast has done. I'm not gonna tear up again, but from like culture and community within the building to successful parent events, to inclusion for our self-contained students, to the systems of academic and behavior support within the building, we have come a long way. And so while I know we still have work to do, we definitely felt a sense of accomplishment at the end of last year. And I think it's important that STAR is one piece of data, an important piece, but it's really one piece when we look at a school and the success of a school. And tomorrow, I'm sitting down with our leadership team and really looking at all those pieces from last year. We started this at the end of last year, and then tomorrow, we're kind of wrapping up, finalizing our goals. So this is tentative right now, knowing that our leadership team meeting is tomorrow. But this is our STAR scores in reading at Southeast. A highlight definitely is second grade, the percentage of students meeting and exceeding. And then their median SGP, again, 50 is kind of the average, and so we're looking for 50 or above. So second, way above, and then third and fourth, definitely a celebration that SGP is above 50 and right at 50. Fifth grade is definitely an area of growth, both in reading and math. We did have a challenging group of fifth graders last year to motivate, and we also had 2 first-year fifth grade teachers and 1 second-year teacher, so it was a young team that we really did try to invest a lot of support in, but definitely more growth to go with that team going into this year. For math, we do, again, second grade kind of sticks out in terms of achievement. That is a team that has been together, Maureen Burke and Sarah Bledsoe, for many years. And so that experience together, you know, it is no surprise that we see those results. Median SGP at 85, again, well above 50. When we look at achievement in math, it's a little higher than reading in 3rd and 4th grade, which I think, again, may contribute to the fact that last year we're in our 2nd year of Eureka compared to our 1st year of CKLA. That could be a factor there. But again, 5th grade, definitely an area of growth as we go into this year and supporting our 5th grade teachers. So our academic goal, again, I haven't met with my leadership team to finalize this, so after tomorrow, but tentatively, at the end of next year, when I'm presenting to you this data from fall to spring next time, that all of those achievement meeting and exceeding will be 5% high, at least 5% higher from fall to spring. So it's a lofty goal, but I think we can do it. I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. Talked a little bit about the things that we're proud of. We had a lot to be proud of last year in terms of our culture, collective responsibility together. And just, yeah, it's really a great place to work. And so I feel like most of us have felt that. Focus areas for this year, again, I think just for us, just continuing to work on culture, celebrating the positives, high expectations for students, for teachers, open and honest communication, relationships. I'm jumping on with Carrie, and I know Jenna just said, but having a student advisory group to have more student voice in kind of those school-wide decisions. Attendance has been a focus for us. This isn't new. It's continuing to be a focus. The new parts of it is we're gonna have check-in, check-out for attendance, so just like we have for behavior. Attendance, so students that have attendance concerns kind of have that adult within the building that's checking in with them at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. We're gonna copy, I think, Northeast on this traveling trophy for attendance. So we did add some attendance incentives last year, but we wanna add even more. And then just continue to increase communication with our parents about attendance. We focused last year on family and community partnerships. It was one of our goals and it will continue to be, but we had monthly family events that were really successful. Hundreds of people, really at all of them. And so that will continue to be a focus area. We also have a whole new, CEAS is our booster club. We have a whole 7 new people that are kind of taking the lead of it. So it's a huge shift and they're really excited about the work that they wanna do. They're young K1, 2 parents for the most part. And so we're really excited about that shift and kind of working with them. Obviously curriculum instruction, a huge piece of what we need to do, but we are one of the schools for Math for All. So really making our math lessons accessible to all our students should help with that proficiency score. Again, the focus on common assessments, and with that, the meetings we have with our grade levels on common assessments. After we take these common assessments, we meet with them and then we discuss like how our students do. We have a data sheet that Megan Franco actually made that's really in depth and shows many different factors, and so we are able to kind of reflect with them, and so just kind of continuing to build on that. Just more frequent feedback from me and Kathleen as administrators in the building and also our coach. And then the areas of the high quality tier 1 instruction, we've been focused on learning targets and student discourse, so we want to continue to kind of have that as a focus area, but student ownership of learning and maximizing instructional time are our other main focus areas for curriculum and instruction. So that's all these. Any questions?
Tomorrow.
Any comments,
No more tomorrow.
questions? Haley was really hard on herself today, so I would like for one board member to give her a compliment.
I love those SGP numbers.
Yeah.
Achievement is all well and good, but growth is why we're all here and why we're doing what we're doing. And you should be very proud of the growth numbers that you guys are producing.
Yep.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
And again,
It's
the,
consistent with growing.
Yeah.
So as long as we see the numbers are growing, that means you are doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I've witnessed the family and community partnership with the events that you all throw.
Yeah.
I participated in your all events and
Sure
they are,
did.
they are crowded. They have a lot of people
Yeah.
attending
That's
their
such a
events.
good point, David, thank you.
That's
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
probably did mix up the order.
You did. It's throwing me off. But no. So just starting with Northwest Reading, so we had some good growth in a lot of the grade levels, second grade, third, fourth. The SGP numbers were good. I actually compared kind of the growth numbers with IAR, and they were fairly similar in terms of the growth on IAR testing as well too. So it's good to see the correlation between STAR and IAR. Those scores are not here, but we did see some good growth. So I think we're finally moving the needle after COVID and getting back kind of on track to where we were. So math, we had some good growth as well too. And even just to point out, like even though third grade stayed the same 80 to 80, that still means that they did grow. So getting an 80% in the fall versus an 80% of the spring, the standards are higher in the spring. So even though those scores are the same, it's still a good score. So I should have started off that my teachers worked really hard last year, so I compliment them on all their hard work, and we did a lot of work around ELA and math. So I just thank them for all their work and for being able to achieve this. In terms of our academic goal, so kind of similar to what Southeast was in terms of 5% increase from fall to spring. So just kind of, especially in math, I think that's going to be our area of focus, as you'll see on the next slide, just kind of to move that needle a little bit more with math for next year. So in terms of our goals, so just culture, we're continuing our after school support for students. We're also emphasizing emotion management. We're looking at more like giving teachers skills for de-escalation within the classroom, so building those skills as well. We're also working on attendance and tardies just like everyone else as well too. In terms of curriculum and instruction, continuing our accountable talk focus and really working on that student discourse and initiating student-to-student discourse as well within the classrooms. And then we've been doing unit planning for ELA and math as we adopted the new curricula the last few years. So now we're going to take the next step with our math and focus on the actual lesson planning. So looking at the progression of skills from grade levels, making sure that there's a continuum of, and teachers can see that continuum across the grade levels. We're also part of the Math for All, which will help us kind of differentiate the lessons and utilize that assessment data to inform instruction and focus on that differentiation within the classroom. Part of what we've realized with especially 2nd through 5th grade math is there's a big emphasis on word problems, and so sometimes math problems can become actually like reading comprehension problems. And so just really focusing on that within the classroom and finding ways for teachers to focus on like word problems and doing more reviews and spell reviews for their students. And then also looking closely at close reading and student responses for ELA, just giving students some more opportunity to respond, like read something and actually respond in writing, just to give them that practice of being able to take the information and then kind of develop their thoughts and ideas with writing for that. So that is our plans for this year. Questions?
Questions, comments?
I think that's a good idea to kind of have the problem and then have the child to engage, especially with the math and with the reading in 5th grade. Primarily, I saw the numbers, but so I think that will improve them in the area.
Thank you.
Things look good.
Thank you.
Dr. Carson, I feel like you can handle
Thank
this,
you.
so I'm gonna put you on the spot. We've had 3 principals now talk about Math for All. Can
I
you
was gonna bring it up after, but I will bring it up right now.
I'm sorry, Scott.
Sorry, Scott.
I'm gonna send on it probably next month, but I'm just so excited. So Math for All is a grant that has been given by the U.S. Department of Education to a group who's been doing a lot of work and has shown this excellent success with their programming. And what they do is they come in, you are selected, and we asked and were selected, which is exciting. They work with grades 3 to 5 or grades 6 to 8. And so we have 2 of our elementary schools that will be doing it this year, and then the other 2 will be doing it next year. And Central Middle School will participate this year. They bring in coaches, actually from all over the United States. They fly them in. And they come in and they work with our team of teachers on their current curriculum. So we have Eureka Math Squared. They will take your curriculum, and what they do is they train you on the diverse needs of students. And so you go through 5 cycles. It includes a training cycle, So where they will train our teachers on the diverse needs of different students within their classroom. The teachers will then have an opportunity to work with these coaches to plan a lesson around what those needs are within their math curriculum. They will then teach that lesson and then they will collaboratively debrief. Then they will train again on other diverse needs of students in their classroom and plan and teach and debrief. And they will go through this cycle 5 times throughout the school year, and just learn and grow about it. Our special education students, because we're really focusing on increasing grade level access for all students within our buildings. Also, they partner with the IRC, the Illinois Resource Center, who focuses on multilingual students. So they will also be working on those needs as well. So it is just, it's a huge, and it's free, like they do it.
I was just gonna say, can you
That's-
tell them what it
it's
costs?
free. It's free. And actually, we sent, this all came up very suddenly because they were kind of closing out their window of acceptance. And we got in right at the very end. And then we're lucky enough to, in all transparency, they told us it would be either grades 3 to 5 or 6 to 8. So I was like, great, we'll focus on elementary 1 year, middle school the next. And you're not sure where you will be selected because it's also part of a study and they collect our data and do all of that. Well, they ended up picking 2 of our elementaries and Central Middle School, which is, it means there's a lot of puzzle pieces that we have to put together as far as timing and professional planning. But it'll be a 2-year process. So the other 2 will take part in it next year. What is especially awesome is we will have coaches within each building that will include our assistant principals, our instructional coaches, who will work closely with the facilitators, and they really work to build the capacity within your district. So they will build the capacity of those coaches, and the information that they're learning about these diverse needs, while the focus is on math, that learning will be able to translate to other content areas.
Right.
We will also be able to extend this down to 1st and 2nd grade after. So it's just a huge opportunity, and we're really excited to be able to do it. So
Now that's job embedded professional.
that's
development.
job embedded professional development. So yeah, it's awesome. So
We've already heard about the cross-district right?
The
So like,
committee.
even though it's only at 2 buildings, I
yes.
can't imagine that
Will
that
be
won't.
there,
like,
yes. And then the other two will go next year, so it will correlate
So we
back
have
to
this
back.
great opportunity
Yeah.
2 years in a row
Yeah.
that can
What
positively
is
impact
ironic,
all
we
four.
sent, not only is it free, but they will also pay. Like we sent, Matt, when we have sent some to, the training in June, and they actually paid for our teachers to go. So, there's a couple of data collection pieces that they will pay for too. The grant that they got is enormous, and we're very happy to be taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
So we're doing 2 elementaries and central.
2 elementaries in Central
This
this year, and then next year it will be Northeast and Southwest, so they will
Not
flip.
central.
Central doesn't get 2 years, they only get 1 year, but they're building the
I'm just thinking
capacity
this-
of the teams, so they will be able to continue to take advantage of it, so, yep, so we're excited.
Right time, because we have math teachers, we hired them all,
Yes.
remember, we hired them, so we're gonna train them, and then we're gonna work to retain them.
Yes, and I have to give a huge
Perfect.
shout out to Rob Leininger, because he is doing our EL coordinator work, and he randomly, I mean, we're talking the very end of the school year, he's like, I was talking to somebody at the IRC and they mentioned this Math for All thing, it might be worth checking out. And so I get on the phone and instantly I was like, please sign us up for this. So we were just very lucky to get selected, so.
Question, actually, I don't know
Yes.
if you know, but when they send out like a group of teachers to coach our teachers, is it like the same person who's kind of our consultant?
Yes, so we will actually have 2 coaches, so it's somebody who works for Math for All, and then they're partnering with the IRC. So we will have a Math for All person and then an IRC person who is local to Illinois. That will work with the elementary schools for the entire school year, and then a separate Math for All person and an IRC person for
Okay.
Central Middle School, and
Okay.
they'll work with us consistently all year.
No, that's good, okay.
Yep. Yep. so.
Great.
Yes.
Can
I
you
feel like
refresh
that.
my
We
memory,
just wanna
do
make
you
sure
have a,
everyone's
do you have
speaking
a
the
new
same
math course? Just refresh my.
It's, yep, Eureka Math Squared. This will be we're going into our third year with
Okay,
it.
sorry.
And I have to applaud all of our teachers, Dr. Carlson, and all of our principals, because we were really, really tight on scope and sequence and making sure that they followed the curriculum with fidelity. And so it's hard sometimes to tell a teacher how to teach, but we did it all together and our teachers were really responsive to it, which I think is super important about
And I feel like we've noticed this year in the math course specifically, it takes a little bit for it to trickle up because those gaps are bigger when you're adopting a new math programs. Especially, those gaps are bigger when you give them something when they're in 5th grade that they haven't had K 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're really beginning to notice the impact of it. I feel really at that 2-3 level, especially this year, and it will, I do feel, continue to work its way up, so heading in the right direction.
I feel like last year in our conversations, you identified the need for intentional planning to be so focused, and then here's this great opportunity that just like builds that capacity internally. It's just serendipitous, but
And that'll help with
Falls
that
into our lap.
tuition,
Yeah.
help with all of those other goals as well.
Exactly.
So this will be a good
It's gonna be good.
element.
So, alright, we'll let the next. Sorry to like.
Thank you. No, that was good. It helps us to all
Well, yeah, 'cause it was
celebrate
over and over and
and
over.
understand. Yeah, no,
Scott
it was
needed a
great.
break,
So please, perfect, thank you. Hello.
Hello. I actually have a good segue on that topic. Because a couple years ago, when we were piloting CKLA, we had a pretty decent chunk of our kindergartners enroll in that curriculum. And so those kids were second graders, and we see a little bit of a higher jump from, I don't know if that's correlation or causation or but the concept of them having the opportunity to focus on those foundational skills that CKLA really emphasizes in the science of reading, you know, that was our highest performing grade last year in terms of achievement numbers. So when we get to the math scores, we kind of see that, you know, the repeated implementation or the consistency kind of play itself out. So I'm optimistic that the numbers for reading as those kids start to move up to their grade levels, we'll see those strong foundations, you know, manifest themselves in better ability to access those grade level skills as they go up the band. So strong growth numbers and achievement numbers for those kids in 2 through 5. Really strong in math as I was talking about as it relates to just the comfortability with the programming. The consistency, Eureka is really built in a meaningful way where the stuff that kids learn in kindergarten comes into play in 3rd and 4th grade. And so having teachers speaking the same language, utilizing the same graphic organizers, really just gives our kids a solid opportunity to be successful and achieve at high levels. And we're seeing, even though those achievement numbers are really high, the growth numbers are high as well. So we always talk about, especially as that achievement number goes up, that we want to continue to move kids into that bucket. So we're not just meeting, but that we're exceeding as well. We've been talking as a leadership team just about making sure that this not only exists in STAR, but also in our state testing as well. So in terms of our goal at Southwest, really wanted to hone in on reading, and I'll speak to that a little bit in my action planning as to why I wanted to focus more on reading based on some of the things we did last year for math that seemed to be beneficial. But so we want to see that meeting exceeding bucket increase by 5% from fall to spring this year. So I'm going to jump down to the third bullet point. One of the things that we did was be really intentional with math on our state testing last year. And so we were able to look at the skills that our students did well on and the skills that our students struggled with, and then in a meaningful way provide them extra at-bats throughout the course of the school year. So we did some really deep item analysis on the math side to say, okay, we really just struggled converting a mixed number to an improper fraction, and just making sure that the kids had the opportunity throughout the course of the year that the first time they saw a problem that looked like that, or that they had to tackle that skill wasn't in March when it came to the assessment. And so that understanding where our kids struggled and then meaningfully building those opportunities throughout the course of the school year really helped. And I think we'd like to take a similar approach to ELA and hope that it plays out in the same way. Additionally, We're gonna utilize our SIT team and our coaches to support that reading instruction. It's the second year where everyone's doing CKLA, so just becoming more efficient with the current program resources to be more targeted and data informed with our instruction. CKLA is a treasure trove. It is comprehensive. There's things in there that we really haven't touched yet as a staff. There's built-in remediation guides that can help our interventionists match, and already have provided resources so that that time is used well. That goes with the M-Class, that gives us that really concrete data also, naturally weaves in with CKLA. And then the district focus on common assessments in the ELA program as well should be helpful for us. Another thing that we looked at a lot was our master schedule, and just being really intentional with our intervention blocks. We're departmentalized, 3rd through 5th grade, which is challenging when you're trying to make sure that everybody gets the services that they need without missing core instruction. And so we've set aside an intervention block really intentionally in 3rd through 5th grade so that they can get the consistent, focused, targeted support that they need. And then our culture, really proud of the work that we continue to do there. Continuing with our enhanced extracurricular opportunities and after-school supports for students. We designate certain days of the week as kind of academic days and other days as some of that enrichment or more interesting options for kids sometimes, so that no one has to pick and choose between going to paper mache club and getting a little help in math. And so that's been helpful. And we really had, I think we had over 65% of our kids involved in an extracurricular activity last year. So we look to continue to explore different options for kids, so we keep switching it up, but also giving that opportunity for our kids. Did a lot of good work with PBIS last year, clear and consistent implementation of expectations and reinforcement. That's a goal across the district, K through 8. And so being really intentional about that, our assemblies, our goals, and that common language piece, really want to continue that work. And then, as always, just having fun and celebrating the successes. Strong instruction is happening. We have a very tight-knit staff, and we want them to leverage the expertise that's in the building so that they can continue to hone their craft.
Great job.
Thanks.
Northeast. It's alphabetical, like it's not alphabetical, it's not. That's for last. That's for last, I heard that, okay.
Okay, first up, reading. So I wanted to talk, first of all, I want to say super proud of Northeast's achievement and their growth for the 2023-24 school year. Little things about 5th grade that I want to talk about with reading. My staff had to do an exceptional job of building background knowledge, with CKLA and the lack of experiences that our students had just being able to connect to the curriculum. I think they had to do a lot of front loading for them to get to where they needed to be, but we're still happy with their achievement and their growth score. And then for math, something interesting we looked at, especially in the 2nd grade, in the area of 2nd grade, we have a highest number of transfer students. So we had a lot of students that were not exposed prior to coming to Northeast with Eureka, so we had to go ahead and, reteach some of the vocabulary and the basic skills and things. So something we're going to keep an eye on is our transfer students and our new students that come from out of district right away, and kind of doing some pre-assessments and seeing if we can identify some gaps and some holes and provide them with the support that they need, to get them up to par. But again, also in math, super happy with our achievement scores as well as our growth. Like I said, when we dove a little deeper into our data, saw that 2nd grade had the highest number of transfers, which I thought was interesting. So something definitely that my teams need to keep an eye on. Looking at goals, and I just want to make sure that I explain this. I have a goal that we want to improve by 5% or more from our group that meets to exceeds, but something else that we look at is the students that are in the blue, so they're kind of the ones that are in the middle. We really wanna hone on those students, because when we sit at academic tier meetings and we sit around the table and we talk about students, we talk about the students that are tier 3 that really, really need, that extra support, and we're on it and we create these plans. We talk about our students that are exceeding and getting them qualified for some enrichment. And I really, with my teams this year, want to look at those kids that are on that bubble, like in the blue, we call it. So I wanna increase those students by 5% to go ahead to the meets. I think that's key. So how are we going to do that? Well, my staff, I really wanna congratulate them and their accomplishments. We have lots to celebrate. One of the things we really took pride in is creating and making relationships with our students. And then I'm not sure if this was mentioned before, but this is kind of like one of those buzzwords right now in education is trauma. Many of our students are trauma-informed students, so we like to identify and get to know their story and then capitalize on that, know what their strengths and weaknesses are, know, what might set them off. We talked about this a lot with our admin team. It might be something as simple as like someone's having a bad hair day, and that is really important to elementary school children. And so they just might need a little extra pep talk or a little extra check-in at the beginning. So I feel like my staff did an awesome job. We want to continue building that culture at Northeast, that everyone feels included and everyone feels heard. Continue to collaborate. Our interventionists, along with our building leadership team, this end of the year data that we've created and collected, and to streamline it into our student goals. And you'll see in my action plan when it comes to curriculum instruction, that all comes from those building walks, those learning walks that we were doing. So we have the information, we take the time to do these walks. Now we need to have action along with it. So making sure that we're following up and holding ourselves accountable when we're doing that. Strengthen always student voice and parent voice. I know Haley mentioned, so our PBIS ambassadors, our student group, it's kind of like a first year. We brought it back since COVID last year. So we now are going to capitalize on these words of the month and invite them to share the message to the other students and really, again, have them have this active piece and this vested interest in what our mission and our goal is at Northeast. One added thing, also same as Southeast, we kind of have a revamped booster club as well. Lots of energy. Their table was amazing yesterday at Packet Pickup. They did a great job of just kind of like setting little incentives to get more active parent participation. One thing Ms. Frankel already did out of the gates this year is already surveyed our parents, so there's already a survey in their packet for them to complete, just kind of like what would you like for this year at Northeast School? And then we'll go ahead and report that out in our first newsletter and talk about those goals. Common plan time is super important to me. It was important to me as a teacher, as an educator. We learn the best from one another. So we are going to continue to utilize those workout Wednesdays, which were we saw, much success from those. Where I can tell you right now already, there's 12 Wednesdays that in the school year that I have planned that we will have common plan time, and that includes special ed articulation time, which is super important. So these were the goals, working with Jen Dale. Last year at the end of the year, we did the learning walks, and then as a team we sat and we set and prioritized some goals. So fostering student discourse, it seems so just easy to do, but sometimes it's not, because teachers have like curriculum to cover. And so we really want to push and make sure that our staff continues to focus on that students are engaging in high level conversations, because that just makes them have deeper connections to what they're learning. Student grouping structures also, having students take more ownership by providing more opportunities for them to work within partners and cooperative groups, grouping structures, and then having them have some roles. So our theme this year is Rock Your Role. So it's ROLE. So we really are going to work on that word role, like what role are you taking in your learning? And then the last one, student learning expectations. So, we need to raise the bar. You know, we're okay, we're doing fine, we're making our steady growth, our achievement, but I feel like I have to push my staff a little bit more, and I have to push my students as well to become better critical thinkers. Any questions? Thank you.
We have some terrific administrators in
I
our
was just
district.
gonna say, I may or may not have just sent a text to Jenna that said, we have excellent administrators.
We really do, thank you.
And you
Good
wanna
job,
know what
guys.
makes me so as I looked around the table at our administrative retreat, there were so many returning faces. And so to me, it's like this core team just coming back together, working towards our strategic plan goals and really aiming at consistency, which is, I just cannot be prouder of them and I love them all.
It seemed like quite the party.
Yeah, you stopped it. It was fun, wasn't it? We had a coffee bar. We might have had a coffee bar there too.
So renewal of our e-learning plan. Our e-learning plan was approved back in May of 2021. This is the plan that we use in the event of a snow day. It's hard to think of snow, or ice or any other sort of emergency day, this time of year. But that plan does get renewed every 3 years so that we are able to use those days, in lieu of a snow day, and then tack in, remember when we would have to add those days on to the end of the calendar. We no longer have to do that, but we will be asking you tonight to renew that plan. It is the same plan, we've used it now for 3 years, it's worked well on those few rare days that we've had to put it into place. But we will be asking you to renew it tonight. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is opening the floor for
That's it, sorry, we need to do this for the e-learning plan. I was gonna mention that as part of it, but I forgot, so thank you.
it's right here.
Good, perfect.
Colleen's got it.
We're good. To open the floor for a public hearing regarding the e-learning plan. Do we have any comments? Does my board have any questions?
I love that we don't have to add days to the calendar. I'm jealous as a former student that lost many days in
Yes.
summer calendar, so.
Yeah, I did hate
That's the trade-off, right?
Yes.
Like, I know it's not always easy for families to manage that during the school year, but we always hear about it if we have to extend the school year because of missed days. So like,
But I do miss snow days too.
I know, so there is a well-placed snow day, but it's 9 to 2.
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit more, I mean, you have to have the certain number of hours that you do have accounted for, but I think that our teachers are really good at kind of working in some pretty fun activities or things that also allow them to enjoy the
You
day.
can still go out and build a snowman, you just can't do it till 2.
They have to write about the snowman that you just built.
Right.
That's true, there you go.
E-sledding?
Yeah, right, that's PE, right? Going out and throwing some snowballs or sledding, I love it. I do think, like I said, and I know it's hard in the moment, but I don't get angry emails in May and June now, so I'll take
I
it.
don't get angry emails when I call an e-learning day. No, I don't.
So,
I'll take it.
we'll take it.
Shouldn't have said
Closing
you're
the
right.
floor. Closing the floor, okay, on the public hearing regarding the e-learning plan, thank you very much, okay. And now, public comments? I'm gonna read my thing now. Okay, so we are up to the public comments portion on the agenda. Per Board of Education Policy 2230, a few reminders specifically about the logistics of public comment portion of every meeting, including this evening, as is posted on our agenda publicly for every meeting. To respect all our stakeholders, our commenters, our board, our public, we adhere very closely to the 3-minute limit for comments for everyone. We will set a timer and we expect everyone to respect their 3 minutes. In addition, we do not respond to public comments at board meetings, but we hear them, we respect them, we listen to and take into account all the community member concerns, and if there's a specific question that comes up, we can respond to after the meeting, we will do so in a timely manner. Thank you. On to board reports with Mr. Allmiller.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the finance committee met apparently just a couple weeks ago, but we were just joking about how it felt like it was like months and months already. But we met because with the tasks that we've given our architecture firm, it's brought up questions about spacing, facilities, updating a facilities plan, and it got us thinking about making sure that we have a good handle on our debt service, as they call it. So we met with Tammy from PMA, who walked through with us the foundations of healthy debt with a school board or school district, and just some options as far as paying for different facilities updates or any other spacing solutions that come up. I thought it was very informative. It's interesting to think about debt being healthy because, like, from a personal standpoint, when you manage your own finances, you try to eliminate debt, but as a large entity, you do need to maintain a certain level of debt to be able to not give sticker shock is like what we landed on,
Yes.
without getting into the really nerdy details of it. But outside of that, there were no real like action items or decisions made from it. It was purely to just make sure all board members and staff members that are part of the finance committee have a good understanding of what goes into this. And it just kind of laid out some next steps for us as it relates to our architects when they come back with their next set of recommendations.
Excellent job.
Yes.
I forgot I was doing this. I'm sorry.
You did,
I missed
you did
before
great,
we
and
started.
it's the lump sum, like we need a big bubble and then we sit, you know what I mean, and then
Yes.
we use it, and then we just bonded 3 years,
3 years ago, and I think the
It's like
board.
one of the first votes I took, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
And we got, bonding 101 like with Tammy from PMA, cause we're like, okay, what does all this mean? So I appreciate that she came back, and we do have to, it's a bubble, and then we spend it, and then there's a bubble, and then that's just how it works.
Well, and to make it really contextual, that is how we updated Northeast
Yeah.
air conditioning this summer,
Yeah.
so that our kids can come back to a nice, cool building and have the best learning environment possible. And so that's again what we're looking to accomplish long-term, is how do we provide long-term facilities upgrades for our kids
Yeah.
ultimately? And pay for it, because it has to be paid for.
Oh, yes, that.
And
No, it's the weirdest thing, they won't do it for free. Thank you. And that was, Mike and Michael, yes, you guys run however long, a week, a month, whatever it was.
It's not clear how long ago that was.
Have to check the notes back in the calendar. Next up is an update for our Mulcrone scholarship review. I don't think, I shared all of this with you guys via email this afternoon when I finished writing the report, I'll be honest. But I did reach out, a refresher at our April board meeting. We awarded 13 of our students, district students, $300 each toward their summer athletic camp experiences. And last week I sent an email to whoever sent in the recommendations. So some of it was students, some of it was other students, and some of it was parents. So I did reach out to all 13 families, we'll just go with that, about how they spent the funds, because I was curious, and that was something that my board asked about when we distributed the funds, is tracking better how it was spent and what we might wanna do about that. Keep in mind, I did have only student emails for some of these students, and shockingly, they didn't get back to me, because they're not in school right now, so I totally get it. I did hear back from 6 families of the 13, and I thought that was great, and there was one student who said, oh yeah, that, I don't think I followed up on that, how do I do that? So he's not in here, but I also was able to facilitate that process, and I really appreciated him asking that question. So, couple things that stood out with me, like I said, you guys have these in front of you. It was great to hear back from parents, and I always love it when the students are the ones to respond to hi, thank you for giving me the Mulcrone scholarship. I'm using it to play a lot of sports and get better at all of them. Make new friends, score some goals in soccer, had a lot of fun, and improve my sports skills. Isn't that's the point, right? So what stood out to me as I was reading these, is our students are awesome. But it also gave, the families that did report were almost all of them spent their money in other Evergreen Park organizations.
Yes.
Right? So it's like we're sharing the love, which is kind of nice. So it may have been the difference between kids attending community high school camps and not. So I kind of like that we were able to do that. It is definitely building skills, okay, a little selfishly. If these students are coming back and playing for Central Middle School, they're gonna do a better job playing for Central I was like, oh, look at how that works. And I really did appreciate that. And then there were also some students who took it beyond the borders of Evergreen Park, which I thought was pretty amazing. There was the
Yes, Florida
that's a lot of
Yankees.
S's. USSSA, All American Games in Florida. And it went towards, part of the money to cover registration for that. So, I wanna commend the students who did good things this summer, and I really liked seeing the impact. There was leadership mentioned, there was, Dr. Parker wrote a lovely, just how much it impacted positively the family and the student, and I just thought that was remarkable. And if I get any more, I'll continue to share. But I thought it was a good opportunity for us to really appreciate the impact that has on our students and our district, which is pretty great. So
It's like it covered so many different sports. There was baseball, you had baseball, basketball, you had
Speed camp.
softballs,
Mhm.
soccer, dance classes,
We even had a wrestler in there, that made me really
Yes.
happy.
We did have, okay, there you go. But it really did, it really, it spanned,
swimming, yes. They took full advantage
yes,
and
and
utilized it well.
I liked the leadership, like the last one, assistant teacher for other students, right? In their summer classes as well, like how cool is that, so.
And we just hired her mom to be
I know, I was very excited to hear from her. I got to respond to all of these families and thank them for getting back to us. But I just, like I said, when we talked about this back in April, I know that you had asked for more follow-up and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that we shared that publicly, that our students did a good job this summer. So
This is awesome, thank you.
awesome. And now you have it, but I'll send it to you in digital form too. Sorry about that. Great, okay, so we are on to action items. Consent agenda item A is to approve the monthly transaction reports for July of 2024. 2 is to approve fund balance reports for July of 2024. 3 is to approve the expenditure report and projected payroll report for August of 2024. 4 is to approve board minutes from the regular meeting of July 17th, 2024. 5 is to approve the closed session minutes for the regular meeting of July 17th, 2024. 6 is to approve destruction of closed session tapes from April of 2020. And 7 is personnel recommendations as listed on our agenda with additions, FMLA, a medical leave, and a few resignations as well that were from June. If I could have a first motion to accept consent agenda item A, please.
Motion to approve consent agenda item A.
Thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
Oh, this side is, man, roll call, please. Sorry.
Dr. Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
Mike Wallmore?
Yay.
Denise Jones, yes. Rachel Merrickwin?
Yes.
David Shepherd?
Yes.
Lauren Dowden?
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Awesome, thank you very much. Item B is to approve our tentative budget for the 24-25 school year as presented by Mr. Grossi. If I could have a first motion, please,
I'll make the motion.
and a second,
Second.
and a roll call?
Rachel Merrickwin?
Yes.
Dr. Michael Thomas?
Yes.
Lauren Dowden?
Yes.
David Shepherd?
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Mike Wallmiller?
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Awesome. Item C is to approve our e-learning plan on our 3-year anniversary of that, as presented by Dr. Paulson. If I could have a first motion, please.
Motion to approve the e-learning plan.
Excellent. And a second,
Second.
and a roll call.
Dr. Michael Thomas?
Yes.
Mike Wallmiller?
Yay.
Denise Jones, yes. Rachel Merrickwin?
Yes.
David Shepherd?
Yes.
Lauren Dowden?
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item D is to approve the second reading and adoption of revised Board Policy 7190 as recommended by the Board Policy Committee. As much work as the board did on board policy over the last year, the Board Policy Committee has been spending a lot of time this summer, and I appreciate you greatly. So back to approving second reading and adoption of revised board policy as recommended. If I could have a first motion to approve, please,
I make a motion.
and a second.
I'll second.
Oh, nice,
It's
alright.
going.
That would be the Board Policy Committee, excellent. And if I could have a roll call, please.
Rachel Merrickwin. Yes. Davy Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Michael Wellmiller.
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item E is something we do every year, approve applications for occupancy for the mobile classrooms. If I could have a first motion to approve.
Motion to approve applications for occupancy for mobile classrooms.
Excellent, you're so good about that. And a second, please, thank you.
I'll second.
Thanks, Rachel. And a roll call, please.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Yay.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
David Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Michael Wellmiller.
There will come a day where we are not
Right.
approving that.
Anyway.
But
See
until
Finance
that
Committee
day-
report.
Yes.
Yes, yes, okay, fair enough,
Colleen Clemzak.
yes.
I was waiting for you to vote no,
Motion
Michael, I really was.
With the caveat, I respect that, I absolutely do. Okay, so we are, item 11 is to recess to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or legal counsel to determine its validity. We will, recessing. We will return to open session and we have one more action item. I have no idea what that is and we will not be live streaming after that. So all in favor of recess at 7:38? Oh, motion, I'm sorry.
Motion to recess to close session.
Thank you, okay. You guys are keeping me on the straight and narrow. A second, please.
That's a good catch, son.
I know,
Second.
thank you. Okay.
Michael Thomas.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Rachel Merrickwin. Yes. David Shepherd.
Yes. Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Michael Wellmiller.
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
You bet.
Motion passed.
Awesome, thank you
7:39.
all. Yay, us.
Yeah, right?